That's no moon. It's a space station.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. If you notice, Aaron is in town with me and back in the studio where it all started, and not for much longer because I'm getting ready to part ways with St. Louis. But Aaron is in town because he received some news recently, and I'll let him share that with you guys.
Yeah, so my dad just passed away 2 days ago. And I know you guys know my mom just passed away in January, and now my dad, he's had a lot of health issues for a long time, and for about the last 10 years or so, we've kinda all the family's kind of been like any day now he could go, because, um, it's just been at that level for a while. He was on dialysis for 5.5 years, and there's been a couple points in the past where we thought for sure he was going, and then he pulled back through it, but this was just his time, I guess. And after my mom, his wife passing in January, I think he was just like very ready to go and to be back with her again, and not be in
Yeah.
pain anymore. And it was just his time.
Well,
So
and you
that's
hand
why I'm in town. Yeah.
yeah, and you handle it well, man. Like, just
Thank
so
you.
everyone knows, like I told Aaron we didn't have to do this episode, and he was like, "No, I want to do it." So, yeah, thanks for showing up and doing this. And I understand it's a hard thing to go through, and we'll ask everyone to just send prayer and love, their prayers and love to you. And
Thank you.
yeah, I know it's
Thank
not
you guys
easy.
so
So,
much. I truly appreciate it.
um, yeah, we'll keep you in our hearts. And so with that out of the way, I guess we'll jump into things. I have just one or two announcements to make. If you're interested in a replay for the Rebels of Disclosure event, you can grab a replay for only $50. That link is below at journeytotruth.online. But more excitingly, we have our tickets on sale for the Hawaii conference/retreat in April of next year, April 20th through the 24th, and there's only like 60 spots left. So if you guys are interested in coming out, grab a ticket, come hang out with us. We're going to be swimming with the dolphins, checking out some sacred sites, Volcano National Park. There's going to be a great lineup of speakers. It's a really cool, like, hybrid event. So stay tuned for more details on that. But if you want to reserve your spot, you can do so now at journeytotruth.online. And today's guest is Drew Bankey, and I'm just going to quickly read his bio because there's a lot here, but it's all fascinating stuff. He's a combat veteran, author, and co-founder of Sacred Journeys Within, a federally recognized psychedelic church. He is a suicide survivor turned spiritual guide, drawing from Native American ceremonies and plant medicine to support deep healing. His face-to-face encounters with Bigfoot and shadow beings fuel his mission to expand collective consciousness. Drew has been featured on Discovery Channel's Homestead Rescue and speaks widely on veteran healing, spiritual awakening, and multidimensional experiences. And one of the things we want to get into today is some messages that his guides told him years ago about Trump being the last president. And, obviously everything right now with Trump and Elon and everything with the raids in LA, like that's in the headlines. So we're going to start with that. We're going to first of all, welcome to the show, Drew. And we would love to hear how these messages started coming to you and what they told you about, I guess, our current time right now and Trump.
Sure. Well, to go all the way back to when the messages first started was from ayahuasca in 2016. Just went to it for some relief from PTSD, and knew about heard about the spiritual aspect of it, but really didn't understand what that entailed until I actually experienced ayahuasca, and then kind of got thrown into the spiritual realm. So I tell everybody, from the get-go, like, I was not a seeker going into this. I kinda got tricked into my spiritual awakening. So from those first 2 ceremonies, a floodgate opened of messages and downloads and intuitions and, just truths coming to me, and eventually, it led into, dream space, dream a lot of dream space activity, and then, seeing, the dreams manifest out in the physical. And, so now I get it's not every night, but when I do remember a dream, and go to dissect it, lots of times there's a lot of truth to it. And years ago, like one of the dreams that I have was saying, and this is when Trump was in office the first time, and it was coming up towards his the when he lost to Biden. So this and I want to put this
Lost.
out.
Lost
Yeah,
to Biden in quotes.
whatever it is. I'm not I want to put this disclaimer out there. I'm not political either. I don't believe in either side. I think it's all a big game. If you think that you think that the biggest government, most powerful government in the world is going to turn the power over to a new person every 4 years, it doesn't make
Not
sense
how
like
it
that.
works.
The people that are really in power are not the president. Like the
Mhm.
president is a face of something else. That's my belief in it. But anyways, this was when Trump was coming up into his reelection from his first term, and I had a dream, and it was very specific. It said Trump will be the last president of this current governmental structure, meaning that there was going not that there was going to be chaos, but there was going to be a reformation of basically our government, the way it was looked at, the way conscious was going to be looked at in a different way, and all these things. And when he didn't get reelected, I went through about a year of like reflecting of like my dreams. Okay, as going over the dreams that I had, the ones that I knew were true and come to light, and then this one like this really big one sticking out that was just always a thorn in my side. It was like why was I told this? And now he didn't get reelected. And then when he started running for reelection, when it was close to uh the the last election date, the last voting time, I started to get a feel. I just knew that he was going to get reelected, and now it's starting to all make sense. And what I was shown during that time was there was going to be, a lot of natural disasters. There's going to be a lot of disasters between our collective, from our collective disagreements in our collective, which spews out, and it's starting. We see it starting in LA now. Over the past couple of days, a week or so, it's been getting worse and worse in LA, and I think we're going to see that on a more global scale. But I don't see it as the apocalypse. I see it like a reset. And Trump's just a marker, like a marker in time. And it's very apparent he's different. It's very apparent he's different than any of the governmental leaders that we've had in the past. So it's the signs are all there that this is a different time we're moving into. To expand on why I believe Trump and this prophecy, and why I think why it's all happening is, there's speculation on the shot that hit to his ear, the assassination attempt, the first assassination attempt, the one that hit his ear. There's a lot of speculation on that, whether it was real, whether it was fake, whether it was staged, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter. The point is, if and I'll say if, like, because I don't know for sure, like, I'm no expert on this, and I have no sides and no stake in this game at all. But if he did get clipped in the ear, he had a near death experience. And from my experiences, I had my own near death experience in 2019 on top of all these psychedelic experience and other ceremonies with other Native American ceremonies with non psychedelics. To add on top of that, I did in the Sundance. I'm a Sundancer as well, and so in 2019, I did die in Arbor. I was gone for 5 minutes, and when I came back, it was a totally different understanding that just doesn't go away.
Mhm.
So if you get clipped in the ear, like that's a near death experience in a sense, and I would be willing to bet that Trump has a different outlook on life now after that. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, you have to agree like that is still a human being. It doesn't matter if you're left or right. It's still a human being. If he did get clipped in the ear, that's a near death experience, and therefore by default, he has to have a different outlook on life. So that would add into why he would be the last president of this current governmental structure, I think we're about to see open contact, and with that, we're going to see a massive shift in consciousness.
Right.
Whether it looks like a solar flare or a mass contact event, those are the two other dreams, the two um, options, and it could be happening at the same time. It could be a solar flare and mass contact event at the same time. Who knows? But those are the other um, some of the other things I've been shown and seen. What was about to happen?
Right. Can you go into more detail though about the when your guides first told you that of how it came through and because I was listening to your typical skeptic interview where you kind of went through that whole story, and then you said coming up to the 2020 election, you thought, oh well, this is his second term that I was told about, and this will be the last. But then when Biden seemingly won, you were very confused, and then when the
Yeah,
next 4-year election came up, you're like, oh, he's going to win this time. If you can just
yeah,
like go into more of the story
yeah.
there.
Exactly. I mean, that's um, I don't remember any more than what I said about that moment, but I was definitely very confused when Biden won that election. Because I've had precognition dreams, starting probably from, I drank in ayahuasca first in 2017, and I mean 2016 and 2017, 18 is when I first started having precognition dreams where I put it all together and was like, okay, this is all connected. Like, the physical, the ceremony space, and the dream space, they're all connected. And I've had uh, several dreams to connect those. Some of those dreams I can't really speak on publicly, but rest assured, like this, I was shown in no uncertain way that they're all connected. So uh, you know dreaming, it was definitely was shown part of my mission. And yeah, that with Trump, I think we're at this time. I think there's a lot of people speaking about this time, and I'm not the first person to prophesize Trump being the last president.
No.
It was prophesized before. So I'm not claiming like I'm coming out on breaking ground. I'm just saying I share the same vision and the same, you know same outlook on what's about to happen. Truth's truth, and when the truth is truth like that, I think it comes through in many different ways and many different times, throughout times, and many different people, many different vessels, or sparks of the source. And I believe we're all sparks of that source. And when the message needs to come through, I believe it comes through in no uncertain ways. So I think, I'm not the only one that's been prophesied before. I think Edgar Casey, if I'm not mistaken,
Yep.
was one of the first to really publicly come out and say it. But we all have. I mean, how many of us has went through the spiritual awakening and had the dreams of floods and tornadoes and tsunamis and natural disasters and things like that? How many of us has had dreams of big solar flares or mass contact events? Like, I'm not the only one. A lot of people have had these, to include Chris Bledsoe and many others, like
Mm,
bona fide contactees. I believe it's more of a consciousness aspect outside of a UFO or alien thing. I think it's more of our consciousness and connected to source. And I think it manifests in any way it needs to really catch our attention. But um, the byproduct of quote unquote contact with ships or face to face encounters or whatever it is a heightened state of consciousness, much like you would get from an ayahuasca ceremony or things like that. So I think it's all connected, man. I think it's part of the phenomenon. I think we're changing. I think we're at the beginning of a new age of humanity. And I think Trump is a marker.
Right.
I couldn't agree more. He's playing a role. That's
Right.
it.
Yeah.
He's just playing a role, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and not
Not
necessarily
a
a savior.
savior,
Yeah.
not a whatever. He's just playing a role that is an important role that needs to be filled by somebody, and he's filling it.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're all feeling it.
Right.
You guys are conduits for for people to share their stories to reach others. We all have our certain roles, and we need to step into those and really question, like, what is our role in this lifetime. We
Right.
really need to. The imposter syndrome is SOB, and we really need to
Mhm.
overcome that. The imposter syndrome is holding back the evolution of humanity, because we've been ingrained to think, we are these lower beings. We're only 3D. You have to go to a church and go to an intermediary to talk to God or whatever it is. This has been implanted over generations, and we're breaking out of that, those stereotypes and false truths that's been ingrained in our souls and our bodies and in the water that makes up our being. Emoto found out long ago that these vibrations affect water. That means they're affecting our body. The powers to be, I would be willing to bet, from the very beginning, knew this. This is
Mhm.
why and I'm a veteran. I got a flag tattooed on my arm, but uh the Pledge of Allegiance is, if you go to any other country and say the Pledge of Allegiance to them, it sounds like a cult. Like, I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack from just saying that. I've said it before, but I served 2 tours in Iraq, so if there's anybody that has the right to say it, I do. It's it's it you're giving your power, your manifestation energy away to a power, and they're building a cage around you through your words and manifestation energy. We all have energy coming out of us, and wherever we direct that, it goes there. And if those why that's why mantras are very powerful. But what is a mantra? Pledge allegiance. And if it's magnified by as many people as said it over the years, every morning in school, there's a reason why you said it in school. It was draped in patriotism, but in the under that drape is a very dark reason why you're doing that. You're giving your manifestation energy away to powers to be that know about this, and
Mhm.
in turn, they're using it to form your own cage around you.
Right.
Right.
Well said.
Well, very well said.
And so going back to, I guess that ties right back into Trump. Like they probably have known that he was coming along too, and there's literally a book called The Last
I
President.
was gonna say
Yeah,
that.
that I've read. I have it. I just packed it away.
From,
But
like, 1900
yeah,
or 1899.
18 the late 1800s,
Yeah.
I read it, and it literally scarily predicts
Mhm.
this current time and Trump, and not just Trump, but everything that's happening too.
Mhm.
And so then there's the question of time travel now, because the Baron Trump's ventures, whatever, all that stuff.
Mhm.
So, what do you think time travel plays into this?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it plays into it in the sense that, not as far as like the Trump family, I don't think. Maybe it does. I don't know. I mean, it's the way I look at things. I see the government and everything, but my focus is way past that. Like, as far as time travel, I think our star brothers and sisters, if you go on to any reservations, you set in any ceremony, you go into a PODTP meeting, you go into a sweat lodge, you're gonna hear talk about star brothers, the Joaquino Ayate, the Star Nation, as it said in Lakota, and the Hopi, almost any tribe, especially in North America, South America, you go on anywhere on the continent, any indigenous tribe, and they're talking about their star brothers, and they're talking about them in a form of a relation. So I think at one point, in our in our evolutionary path, we do figure out time travel. We do figure out how to bend time space, and what we're seeing right now is our star brothers and sisters coming back and having a role, playing a role, while abiding to the cosmic laws of free will. I think there's only like 4 laws. It's in my first book, I'm Perfect, and so are you, on Amazon. One of the downloads was given a creation story and the 4 laws that govern creation. But, I think our star brothers are coming back here and helping out in that sense, and, like, so I think anytime that as far as the question of time travel comes up, I think anytime that we see a ship, face-to-face encounter, Bigfoot, or any higher dimensional being like that, I think we're seeing a reflection of ourselves from another dimension. I don't think there's I think quite literally, it's not a theory. I think it's or a cliche thing I'm saying. I think quite literally we're seeing another expression of our own soul space, not of source's soul space, but our soul space that's operating in other dimensional fields. We're bilocated. That's kind of agreed upon in quantum physics. That's agreed upon in my experiences and ceremonies with psychedelics and with not, that we're definitely bilocated and been shown that with very much truth. But as far as Trump and Barron and all them, there's a lot of things come up. You know, I know Barron and the Trump name is brought up a lot in literature. So I haven't really delved into that, but it doesn't matter to me either way. You know,
Right.
for what I'm trying to accomplish and what I'm the theories that I'm working on, you know, that's past where I'm really worried about for that.
Right. I guess what I was getting at is you said, well, I feel like that even the deep state, if you want to call them that, the cabal, like I think they've always known this was going to happen too. Whether it's a timeline viewing technology, time travel, whatever the case is, like if you're getting messages like somewhere out there, like there's other people that that knew this was coming too, and they've
Absolutely.
tried to like put out
Stop it, thwart it.
I thwart
Figure
it,
out some
and then
timeline.
the predictive programming so that
Yeah.
we create a timeline where whatever, all the above. But I feel like it's not. It's like a temporal war, right? It's so multi-layered and in a like a multi-dimensional war too, and the fact that like there's things that are occurring even within government, I say that are multi-dimensional or trans-dimensional, if you want to say. I don't think it's just as black and white as 3D politics, and I do think that there's some form of plan or operation. And I feel like the fact that people like you are getting messages, the way that can only be true is if this was already known, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And to speak on that directly, I was just at a conference, I think about a month ago, up in Wisconsin, Contact Modalities Expo, and I got to connect with Chris Bledsoe there, and we've been in contact pretty much every day since. And he's a great person. I can really say wholeheartedly that he did have a really genuine experience, and whatever he's talking to, I recognize it because there's a lot of similarities between our stories. The three dot he has just one of the things was very interesting to me. He recently talked about the three dots on the front of his book and how they are very important to the story. And it floored me because I was thought back to when I published my book and I had my wife do the art for my first book, and it was very important for me to put three dots on the front of my book. And that was back in 2020. But to speak directly to the connection to the government, it's no secret that Chris is very well connected to CIA. He's been investigated by NASA and all these different agencies. So a lot of question before I met him, that everybody has, like, what side is he on, like this, that, and the other, and the answer is he's on the side of helping the powers to be move this consciousness thing forward. And it's no secret. He said it very many times. It's nothing he said to me in private. He said it openly in conferences. But there's a team of women that are congresswomen, senators, and employees of the Pentagon, all women, around 8 or 9 of them. I don't know exactly how many of them, but it's around that number. But they have known about this for years, and they know that this means a consciousness shift. Like the implications of this is a consciousness shift. What's happening, and they're studying Chris, trying to get ahead of the game a little bit more than what they already are, on trying to understand how we're going to be able to connect with this new species, quote unquote species, that's coming to Earth and interacting with us. It's more and more open. Like I live out here in southern Colorado, just south of the Great Sand Dunes, just south of Mount Blanca, which is a known hotspot. But for ever since I come back from the conference, it's been nightly contact. I've shared a lot of footage on my own social media pages and things like that. So I see a ramp up of not only on a collective scale, but my own personal contact and relationship with the phenomenon is ramping up, and I think it's coming to a crescendo where it's either gonna. I think the solar thing, we're deeply connected to the sun. That's a big lesson that I have received over just the past couple of years, really, of our connection to the sun. We're drawing from the sun. The sun is really the physical manifestation of the creator in this 3D world. This is where all our energy comes from, whether you're eating plants, food, animals, it doesn't matter. You're eating energy that's come from the sun. So the breatharians that I've talked about before in past interviews are people on this earth that really get into a heightened conscious state and meditate for 6 to 8 hours a day and receive their energy from the sun and really don't eat or drink water. And that's really fascinating to me. A lot of people don't believe that, but I can, like I've said before in past interviews, I'm not to that point of consciousness, but I can understand how that could be possible in a more dedicated consciousness state.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many things that people are tapping into right now, and what the way I look at it is I saw something on social media today, and there was like it was a paranormal group I follow, and all of a sudden there's like all this infighting, right? There's always these infighting in these groups, but what I see ultimately, it doesn't matter where you go, if it's ufology, paranormal, disclosure, it doesn't matter.
Spiritual
Spiritual
community.
community, it doesn't matter. There's infighting everywhere, and it's really nobody's fault because everybody's belief systems are being shattered right now. Everybody's trying to figure out what's happening. Our paradigm is quite literally virtually changing before our eyes. And people don't really know what to believe in. And every time that they grab onto something new, somebody else comes and challenges that. And inevitably, like all this stuff is coming up within people and they're projecting stuff and everything's just boiling at this boiling point right now. And ultimately, like we shouldn't be pointing fingers, but understand that this is a byproduct of like deprogramming from this matrix, right? Because we were born into the system where we didn't have a choice. Now people are understanding, like, wait a second, what's going on. So I think that like you said, all these UFOs and these nightly things, like it's quite literally changing before our eyes. And like we're just witnessing this shift in consciousness, and the stuff in the political arena is stirring the pot too. And I think it has to get real for people. I think they want a reaction out of people, because it's always been we've always had this like controlled narrative handed to us. Now we're seeing like this transparency within these like Elon and Trump and everybody, and people don't know how to react when they see people talking like us. Like it's like, oh wait, like we're not used to this. So
Right.
I think that's all by design to get people like asking questions now. And
Mhm.
before they just figured, oh, it's all been taken care of. But now people are forced to question things, and obviously it snowballs from there. But I do see like this is like a wonderful time, but it's also chaotic at the same time, and very sad and traumatic. But it's all leading to a much brighter place, in my
But
opinion.
but what was I just telling you before the show?
I don't know.
Spiritual growth. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I don't know what were you telling me.
great time.
Spiritual growth happens the biggest spiritual growth, I'll say it that way, happens through stress and
Right.
through hard times and things that aren't fun going through them at the time. But
Sure.
that's when so much growth and so much spiritual growth happens. And then you can look back and be like, wow, that sucked at the time to go through, but look at what happened from that.
Absolutely.
Right.
To speak a little bit on grief, because I think it's the right time to speak on grief a little bit. But a few years ago, I think it started at the end of 2019, so right before COVID. Got a call from my mother-in-law that my sister-in-law, police officer, had shot and killed herself. So we had to take off, go to Ohio. Literally had to clean up like her apartment, where it happened, all that stuff. And there's a lot of questioning of like, and this is, after right around the time when I was already leading ceremonies, but it was right around the time when I founded Sacred Journeys Within at the beginning of 2020. We founded Sacred Journeys Within. So I was deep in the medicine space, and definitely a lot of questions of like, why, why is this going on? Like, why is this coming up? Because everything, like, even at that point, I was really questioning like anything that comes up in life. Okay, this is an experience. This is what source says. Like, this is experience. Like, pay attention to it. Pay attention to your emotions, but don't go too far into your emotions. Like, find a lesson in it. And then it was a couple months later, got a call from my sister, my my nephew, Army veteran, going through a divorce, shot and killed himself. We go there, clean up his apartment, clean up the area where it's at. And again, the questions are like, why am I going through all this? And there was a lot of little subset lessons in all that and everything. And then couple like 7 months after that, his brother, my other nephew, same sister. She's only got 3 kids, two boys and 1 girl. Both boys. The second boy hung himself.
Mm.
Have to go to Georgia. Like, and when I get to my sister's house, and this is her second son that she's lost in 7 months to suicide. So I get to Georgia. It was hours. It was the next day after she called. I got a ticket that night. And next day I was there. Um, and get to her house, and there's a bonfire in the backyard. People talking about Tyler and this and that. And his name was Tyler, by the way. And I was there maybe 20 minutes. I start seeing like there's the ground starts flashing like purple and everything. There's a meteor that goes right over top of the house, maybe a couple thousand feet right over top of the house, so close that it changed the color of the backyard from green to red to yellow to purple, all the colors of a meteor, and went right over top of the house. My sister was really like, she was shattered. And she hadn't really said anything to me yet. And she looks at me and she's like, "You think that was connected to Tyler?" I was like, "What do you think?" I was like, I'm
Yeah.
like, at that time I'm 45 now. I think at that time I was like 43. I was like 43, and I'm 43 years old. I've seen a lot of things like in these years, especially since 36 when I first drank ayahuasca, but I've never seen anything like that. I was like, "You tell me, sis." And it really helped heal her. And then fast forward, a couple months later, December 23rd of 2021 was the last one of this, like, 4-block succession of over a 2-year period having to bury people and all this stuff. Get a call from my mother-in-law. She had 3 children too, 2 girls and 1 boy. So both of my wife's siblings, OD'd on, accidental OD on fentanyl.
Oh my goodness.
So
Jeez.
yeah, went to Ohio, and, it was all too familiar, the whole process at that point, of like how to set up funerals, how to help out, like what we needed to do, things we had to check and everything. But then, like, I was asked to, like, officiate over the funeral.
Mm.
So, of my brother-in-law, because he drank ayahuasca with me a few times, and I was, like, his closest thing to, like, a spiritual, leader or whatever. And, what it really hit me at that moment, after burying 4 of my really close family members, in the past 4 years, and to suicide, which I was a suicide survivor, so, like, there was lots of times when I was thinking, especially with my brother-in-law, like, seeing him in the casket, like, seeing flashes of my face in the casket, things like that, and the message really come to me during his funeral, and I think it may have, come from him, or he definitely may have helped the message come through, but grief is one of the deepest lessons, because you can talk about your ideas of spirituality and how things work, how energy works and all that, but how are you gonna react when you really have to? And one of the deepest lessons is burying someone that's close to you.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that was in the background, but it really struck me at that point, all the lessons, all this over the past, it was 2 years of burying, family members, pretty much every couple months we were doing it, every 7 months we were doing it. And the message finally come through to me like, this is why you're here, and there's a reason you're seeing this contrast of so much suicide facing you. And even my niece said, you know, how many times over the years from when you got out of Iraq to when you drank ayahuasca, how many times did we think that this was going to be us sitting down here and you were going to be up in there? And this is when, you know, when her first brother passed away, and she said that to me. So grief is a very, when it hits you, like, just understand, and this may be particularly, you know, a conversation that everyone else may be hearing, but it's really between me and you, Aaron.
Mhm.
But when grief hits, just understand that you're getting to the end of your, you know, a heightened point of your spiritual lessons, because,
Mhm.
you know, put your money where your mouth is, and that's kind of what's happening right now.
You know,
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Um, I can't imagine losing 4 close family members within that span of that's so you've been through it. So you know, yeah.
right.
And I just lost both my parents in the last, 5 months, so
Yeah.
this is,
Yeah.
like, my time of that right now. It's been
Yeah, and there's totally different layers on it, you know, when it's your parents, you know, and
Mhm.
to see, to see my sister and my mother-in-law lose their children. And I have 4 children of my own. You know, my
Mhm.
oldest is uh she's about to be 22 this year.
Oh,
My oldest son's about to be 20, and then I got a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old.
oh,
So,
wow. Yeah.
so and a vasectomy. So
Wow.
after all that, I got a vasectomy. So I'm done. But
Right.
you know, it was very sobering to see, you know, my mother-in-law, which I'm very close to. We're very close to, you know, we
Mhm.
most holidays, especially around Christmas, you know, Thanksgiving and stuff, it's mostly spent on that side of the family with her. And yeah, just to see and my sister go through and losing a child, it was so sobering to see them actually come out the other side and be able to actually survive. Like, I don't know what I would do if I lost a child. Like, I
Right.
Yeah.
hope I never have to live that experience. But you know, like we all say that, you know, we never want our children to bury, you know, we want our children to bury us.
Right.
Childhood.
That's the way it's all set up.
Well,
But yeah, grief's a big lesson, man.
and you know, like somebody I know, they lost a child, and it sparked a spiritual awakening for them.
Sure.
And I feel
Mhm.
like sometimes that's all designed as well. Like
Sometimes
like
that's yeah.
like they know, they understand, like, it's more of a gift, like, in a sense, like that
Mhm.
child that soul came here to
Mhm.
play a role, and then leave when time's up, and then, like, it did something for the parent that would have never happened otherwise, right?
Sure.
So there's so many ways to look at it, and it's beautiful, and it's like this beautiful dance, actually. And, death is just a transition, and it
Mhm.
can be looked at as a celebration, because, down here it's very dense and heavy, and you're being freed from this physical body, and, like, these chains that hold you down to the third dimension. So
The soul doesn't die. The real you
right,
doesn't die. It's just
Yeah.
the
right,
temporary body you're inhabiting that
right,
is really
and,
Yeah.
yeah,
doesn't make
so
it any less hard though. You still have to grieve and
of course.
go through that process, but it helps to know that greater perspective
Right.
of reality.
Yeah.
I'm 38 now. My mother passed away when I was 24, and there's still layers.
Mhm.
Every
Mhm.
occasionally, a new layer of grief will present itself, and as we do this work, right, and things happen in your life, and you're faced with look in the mirror, and just deal with some stuff that you might have not even understood until now. So it's just it's an endless process, and but it is a big part of, like, this awakening, and I agree with that. I didn't expect the conversation to go this direction, so I don't know where to go from here. But uh,
Well,
yeah,
we never do. I never know where the conversation is gonna go, because I I made an agreement, you know, in 2019, got a prophetic message or whatever you wanna call it, and I was told I was to speak as source and with no filter, and not be source, but speak as source, and speak as Drew too. And like that's why like now I'm very free, like on so many different planes of my being. I'm very free because um I'm here, and I know that what direction we're heading as a collective conscious. I know that we're kind of over the hump, and we're just kind of everything start just playing out now. I don't think that's not saying we still don't have to do the work, but the integration of source consciousness into the 3D collective consciousness, I think, is here, and I think it's unstoppable.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
what if
100%.
what if things don't play out like your visions, like the open contact scenario, Trump being the last president?
I
Like,
just delete my YouTube channel. That's it. I mean, no, I don't know.
you know what
I
I mean?
mean,
Because there's a reality to like, and there's all these probabilities, right?
sure,
And potentials. So,
sure.
like, what would you say to that? Because you never know.
You just never know, and it's just do the best that you can. If it doesn't turn out like, um, man, I don't want this a kind of a longer story, but uh, I for a a little while, about a month or so ago, I really thought, and I swear to God, I looked it up on Google and everything. This is before I went to the conference in uh, Wisconsin. Me and my wife were having a conversation, and it was around 420. We're smoking out, and we're talking about how this is Easter and everything. And I was like, sometime, and it was just like one of those conversations you have with a joint. I was like, my birthday's been on Easter a few times in the past, and she's like, BS, like my wife's just razzing me. And I was like, no, look it up. I was like, so I typed it into Google, and it showed up like the past time. My birthday's April 11th. So it showed up the past years that my birthday fell on April 11th, and it said next year was supposed to fall on April 11th. So went to the conference, and I was like, a lot of some of my conversations, like I mentioned this in conversations and stuff, and then uh, when I got back home, I end up looking it up again. I was like, okay, want to take a screenshot of this. I'm gonna start putting a post together. Chris Bledsoe talks about there's going to be something happen on Easter of next year in Egypt, an alignment with the sun or something like that, shining on a certain part in between the Sphinx paws. Anyways, uh, so there's others. The first time Chris saw his initial thing, he was 46 years old. I'm turning 46 next year. So the conversation that I was having, even with Chris, I was like, my birthday is on Easter of next year. I was like, I really think that I should be in Egypt. And checking this afterwards when I was going to make a post and kind of put this all together and make like an announcement of it, all these synchronicities. Easter's on April 5th of next year. And it's I don't know if it's a timeline shift. I don't know if I read it wrong or whatever, but it's just
Whoa.
it tripped me out, And um so maybe that could play into what we're talking about. Maybe things change, maybe timeline shifts or whatever. But the facts are still the facts, of all the alignment and all the other alignments other than the actual alignment of my birthday being on Easter next year. But yeah, I don't know. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Like I don't care, I don't
Right.
care either way. Like I know who I am. I know I'm still a particle of source going through this experience, and I would just dissect that for what it's worth at the time. But um if we come up 4 years from now and we have an election and we get to inauguration day and there's a new president that gets sworn in, then and it's not Trump, then then I go from there. But it's not
Right.
like I said, it doesn't it's like candy for me. This information about Trump and everything, it's just candy for me. Like the deeper stuff, I know we're going through an awakening, I as a collective consciousness, we've all been through our own version of our individual awakenings, whether it be through a death, near death, ceremony, um, you know, crazy synchronicity that just makes you question everything. And to backtrack a little bit to something you said earlier, Tyler. You was talking about how, um, we're going through this massive like paradigm shift as a collective, as an individual, and as a collective. And I think that's one of the gifts of deaths, that when they come very close to us, they kind of shift our paradigm, kind of shake our thoughts up. I know Aaron's head's totally another place right now, just contemplating a lot of stuff. But these psychedelic ceremonies, anything like that, gives you a glimpse into basically a paradigm shift. So I think, you know, um, these things are a gift for us, especially in the times we are now. Like, I believe I would go far to say I'm a little more prepared than for ships to land on my front lawn than someone that has never had a paradigm shift, as far as psychedelic ceremonies, near death, whatever.
Right.
Right.
Because it's just a lot farther away from their baseline. My baseline is closer, was farther away from their baseline. My baseline is closer to aliens landing on my front yard. I'd be more expecting at this point than not expecting it.
Right.
It would be right, because here's the thing, we tend to think of things in black and white ways, where like something is always good or something is always bad, and that's not how things work, right?
Yeah.
It's like something can in and of itself be a good thing, but in the wrong context, it could have a detrimental effect on people, right?
Sure.
So mass contact, let's say it that way, because people are having their own contact been forever, right? All the time. But as far as like them coming down and landing and like being amongst us openly, which I do think there are many here already, we just aren't told, that's a whole other story. But as far as that aspect of like what we all think of as open contact, right? I do think we're getting there. It's going to happen soon, I think, but it has to be the right time, because for a lot of people, like you just said, they're not ready. They're not. It would have a detrimental. It'd be so traumatic on them if it happened in a specific way like that. That it's like, I think the masses have to get to a certain point. Doesn't mean we're never going to get perfect, whatever that even is, of like everyone's completely right. No, but like it has to get to a certain point. Things have to play out a certain way, and it's all in divine timing, I think. And then it's like, all right, it's going to happen when it's going to happen, and let's stop worrying about when is it going to happen, how is it going to happen. It's like, well, it's going to happen in the way it needs to happen at the right exact time,
Right.
in that way. And you
Yeah,
focus on your own self and your own journey, and we're all helping the collective. Right.
yeah. I don't think I don't think it's the government that's going to be
No.
leading the disclosure. I think by the time that
No.
I think by the time that the president, whoever it is at the time, steps out on the South Lawn up to a podium and announces that we've been in contact, I think it's gonna be a known fact.
By then,
But
yeah,
by that, it's gonna be a known fact, and it's pretty much that way anyway now. I mean,
right.
I don't know what people's definition, or what, each person has a different definition, or really what they look for in a disclosure. Most people want that South Lawn podium,
Right.
president coming out and saying, this is what's going on. But really, I mean,
Why do you need that? That's what I would ask
if
people. Why do you need the government to tell you what you already know and what you
I
can
mean,
already
it's
experience?
pretty. They've said over and over again, they're releasing all these videos, all these, and you could put the breadcrumbs together. I mean, all this proof that they've been studying consciousness, studying psychedelics, using psychedelics,
Mhm.
for spies. Even, there's I was watching a podcast a while back. I think it was Sean Ryan. I can't remember Sean Ryan's podcast. I can't remember the guest, but he was talking about how there is 43 known terrorist groups that are using remote viewing at this time.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe it.
I remember.
Yeah.
I saw
And
this.
we've been using it since, probably the 40s, or
Yeah.
40s or before,
While publicly
uh,
denying that it's even real.
while
And
public
right.
denying,
Right.
and making anyone that goes into it, witchcraft and all these
Mhm.
other things, making movies to make us make anyone that believes in it look like, they're kooks,
Right.
while all the while they've been studying and using it against our enemies, and
Mhm.
using it for their benefit the whole time. And
100%. Yep.
that's one of the cookies that's going to crumble, like, when disclosure comes. They talked, it's kind of well known, but Bush Jr. had a meeting when he was in office back in '04 of disclosure. Like, it was on the table then. They put
Mhm.
it to a committee. They did like a scenario where what would happen if it did come out, and the cons outweighed the pros. And some of the things that were mentioned was medical, the medical industry, the spiritual industry, like any industry. You got to think that's everything that's connected to all those, every business that's connected to the medical industry. And this may get it kicked off of YouTube if we're on,
All comes down
going.
to the money
Yeah,
system,
it all comes down to money. And
enslaved by this money system that we gotta keep it going because you gotta make money. No, you don't. No, you don't.
genuine disclosure is
Right.
gonna disassemble a lot of things.
All gas, coal, and oil, gone.
A
Medical
lot
industry
of
completely
things.
gone, overhauled. Everything we are used to is gonna have to be overhauled because it's that big of a paradigm shift,
Sure, just
and we
just
need
think
that to
about,
happen. It
like,
has to happen right.
I hate to go, I hate to. It's like the kind of the theme of this interview a little bit, but the whole grief thing, like how we're taught to process death in the Western world, um, basically turns into cancer. Like,
Right.
if you understand how energy works, and if you understand Reiki or anything like that, we have been the the way we have been made to look how death is processed, especially in the Western world. It goes in line with getting colon cancer, getting lower abdominal cancer, and all these things, because energy is stuck there, because we're not processing the energy like like we're meant to do. You
Right.
go anywhere in India and stuff like that, reincarnation and death is not processed like that, and you don't see colon cancer like you do in the United States.
Right.
And it's an attack against humanity. It's literally attack against, because they're killing people, because they're suppressing and teaching false facts, like false facts of how things work, how death works, and things like that.
Yeah.
Make it. And just
Yep.
just think of the casket companies, cemeteries, all these things that were all ingrained, like this is how it's supposed to be. But they don't teach us how to process and really deal with that grief in a way, which actually turns into a blockage in your root chakra, which
Mhm.
then eventually turns into sickness, and then turns into cancer.
And
100%.
yeah,
100%.
and it's interesting though because we're gonna have to grieve and mourn the death of a system
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
belief systems
Yep.
and
Programs.
and just way programs, just ways of life. But that it's also solid advice for that type of grief too, because it's no different because you've attached yourself to that, right? And it's
yeah,
still like part of who you are. It's all you know.
Your ego gets attached to these programs, and you think in such a way that we basically our identities are so attached to these mind control programs, we think we are them. So when they start that's why whenever they start being questioned by people, what do people go in the defensive? Really, what they start like
sure.
Well,
lashing out and getting
a-
all defensive
and you know what?
to attack on their ego.
This reminds me of like, okay, we all want change until change gets real. Then everybody has a problem with it. And this is a
Right.
perfect example I've noticed. Remember growing up, like we all like dreamed about flying cars. We want flying cars and everything. And now we literally have flying cars and like these prototypes and like these basically enlarged drones, right? That people can fly. But we have flying cars and they're being tested. And then everyone's like, oh, that'll never work. How are they going to fly that around? They're going to crash. We don't have an infrastructure for that.
Right. Right.
And like we've been dreaming and asking for flying cars for so long. Now that they're actually showing up, everyone's resisting it because it's literally means like, oh, we got to give up all this stuff that we put our energy into, and these roads and my car and all this stuff. Like, what does that mean? So people get threatened, and they don't understand on a subconscious level that that flying car is actually threatening the entire infrastructure that they've identified with.
Sure. It's about perception, right? A lot of people, like, they're on the earth. they're part of the earth, like which we all are, we're all part of the earth. But William Shatner, when he did the whole went to the edge of space thing and then come back, one of the first things he said was it changed him because he saw the earth from a different point of view. And when you go into these ceremonies or astral travel or just meditation or anything, you know, you look at the earth from a different perspective. You see the earth, but you look at it from way out here.
It's this
That way you
tiny
can,
speck that we're
yeah,
all on from way out
you
here.
can see kind of everything happening as an organism, and not just,
Mhm.
Trump doing this or this country doing this or this. You see just an organism pulsing. So what I see right now of this organism, the whole earth organism that all of us combined is pulsing, we're doing exactly what you just said. We're trying to hold on to this paradigm, this 3D paradigm, when we're shifting into a 4 and 5D paradigm. And this is why you're seeing all these different things happen on. And the reason that I see it as a whole organism, because you see all these global things happening, all these storms, earthquakes, things like that. But then you also see the rioting and things like that. So the whole organism is fighting in a way, much like you would be in the middle of an ayahuasca ceremony, going through hell, throwing up, and everything's chaos. But rest assured, when we get through, we're in a ceremony. We've been in a ceremony since we've all been in a ceremony since we took our first breath, on a personal level, and we're in this collective ceremony together. But we're no doubt we're in a ceremony right now, and we will have a moment of peace and bliss at the end of it. And we're going to be eating watermelon when the sun comes up. You know,
Yeah.
but right now we're throwing up.
Right.
We're in the middle of the ceremony and we're throwing up, shitting our brains out.
We're in that phase right
Right.
now.
Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna
We're in the least fun phase of the ceremony right now.
right. I'm gonna title the episode that we're shitting our brains out.
Right. Right. There you go.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Actually, I love that analogy. That's exactly what's
That's a
happening right
perfect
now.
analogy. That's
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Mother Earth responding to the changes, and it
And
manifests.
we're all part of Mother Earth.
Right.
We're all part.
Right.
Our physical body, like literally, we're releasing these chemicals, and the little bit that makes up our physical form. We're mostly water. I mean, which is really like the water is kind of the physical aspect of spirituality. It flows everywhere. It's needed, but it's overlooked all the time. It connects us all through vibration, connects us to our ancestors. Water connects us to our ancestors. So it's a very symbolic. I found, as above, so below is is true in almost everything when you really start to look at it from that aspect.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Right. Everything's
Mhm.
and everything's just manifesting in different ways, and it all depends on what it is that you see, like, and what you believe in. Like yeah, like this pole shift narrative that I've been seeing going around. That
Fear mongering.
lot of people, like especially on X, like I mean, people are genuinely like digging holes in their property and building bunkers and stuff for this pole shift,
Yeah.
as if somehow it's going to save them.
Right.
But I'm not kidding, and there's people I know and people I consider friends that I see prepping for this and very scared, and I'm just like, this has been a narrative since I've been a kid. I remember in school actually being scared of a pole shift in elementary school, and like I don't think that we've been given this false history, and everyone's like, oh, there's proof in the history books that it's happened many times before, and it's going to happen again. And okay, maybe there's some evidence there, and there is supporting data, but ultimately, I feel like it's it's like rinse and repeat, right? Why fix it if it's not broken? They know this pole shift narrative works, so they're going to keep recycling that as long as people are going to keep falling for it.
And if it keeps you in fear, that's what they want to keep you at the lower vibrations, right?
Right.
Anything to keep
Yeah.
you in fear. So you're
But
you're
Well,
but
at that
yeah,
level.
let me finish my thought really quick. So people now, in effect, they're gonna like only see a timeline where that's gonna happen because that's what they believe in, and they're manifesting and perpetuating that for
All your
themselves.
energy is going to manifest.
And now what's gonna happen, like, AI is smart now, like, it picks up on your thoughts, and it's your algorithm is gonna play off of that, and you're only gonna see that in your feed, and then you're gonna literally drown in this whirlpool of your own beliefs and fears, and
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
right, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I watch people get triggered whenever I say that there's nothing to be scared of, and it's like they literally reject positivity because they want misery loves company. Well, if I'm
Mm.
miserable, you have to be miserable too, and it's this weird psychological thing I see, and it's, like, really hard to reach people, but I feel like that's their own process, and, like, we just have to hold space for it all to happen and understand that inevitably that's just the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I love that, it's, that's the basis of my first book, I'm Perfect and So Are You, is basically just talking about the divine nature of creation that we all touch on, you take too many mushrooms, you drink ayahuasca, like, you meditate, you have through whatever, Wim Hof or whatever. What's one of the very first messages that comes through when you break through? Everything that you get over there and you're like, "Holy shit, everything is perfect, man." Like, everything's in divine nature. You start processing like, okay, the cliche thing of, hindsight's 2020. Well, what about foresight's 2020? If we know hindsight's 2020 and everything always works out, and we always ever see everything always work out, but we always think the next time is not gonna work out. The next time is not gonna work out,
Right.
but it always does work out, you
Mhm.
know? And, eventually you have to accept that everything is gonna have to work out, and you're gonna have to, like, live a more beautiful life, and I love what you're saying, Tyler. I definitely see that too. So many people are caught up on just caught up on the system itself, you know? Um, I was supposed to be on a interview on, I forgot, and it was a bigger news station, but it was in Chicago. Maybe it's a good thing I can't remember the name of it, but I was supposed to do an interview there when I went to the conference in Wisconsin, because I flew into O'Hare. I was supposed to stop and go to the studio and do, well, something broke on Trump, and I got pushed out of the news cycle and stuff, so that they canceled the interview. And it's just funny, like, man, if you would allowed me, to have my half hour to speak what I spoke, it would have affected humanity a lot more than whatever
Right.
BS you had about, what's going on with Trump or whatever whatever,
Current event
yeah,
via
whatever
that.
event that you had. So it's just funny, the seeing, the universe just kick back a little bit and say, "Okay, no, it's not definitely not time for that station." It was a big I can't remember the station, it was big. But it would have been good. I would have hit a lot of people, but it just got overshadowed by that, which I have to trust. Like, it's, my message is getting out there, and what I'm trying to share is basically like our power that we all have. And when I tell my stories of things that's happened in the Sundance, things like that, I was Sundancer for 3 years. People don't know what that is. It's a Native American ceremony where you dry fast for 4 days, without food and water. You dance sun up to sundown, and there's a piercing involved where you pierce and pull away from the tree, and you actually break your skin. It's a symbolic prayer, and it really, actually, not even a symbolic prayer. It's a really deep prayer of breaking away from the tether of this physical world to understand, your disconnection. So when you really break away from that tree, you're really kind of free in space for a moment, and that's when you have those visions. But this is what I've done, on my quest for the truth. We've all had our own, path, and went down different roads to get to the truth. For me, I had to punish myself. There was something deep inside me that I had to punish myself and go through great lengths to do that, as far as physical pain. But I'm glad to say that I don't feel the need to Sundance anymore, because that's a
Right,
lot. It takes a lot out of you.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting though, like I understand that, okay, whatever that news broke about Trump and that was more important. Obviously, that's the media, so they're gonna run with that. And I do think there's something to it, though. I still think that's all necessary for the collective right now. All this stuff happening in the political arena. I think they're like assessing the planetary consciousness right now too. Like everything's staged. They know what they're doing, and I think they're watching very closely at how people react to this stuff, and like basically, quite literally assessing where the collective is at and and then okay, how can we proceed and how will this be received, what will be the safest way to approach this, and it can manifest in any number of ways, but I think there is a higher plan involved. And it right now, like, yeah, all like, okay, so we host this show and we cover everything. We get into politics sometimes and stuff in the surface level thing, and maybe it's not the most important thing, and it could be a distraction, but there's always something within it to learn from, and there's always something you realize it's connected in all ways, right? Connected to everything.
And we talk about it from the greater perspective too,
Right.
because a lot of people talk about politics and they can't see these deeper layers or the and they're talking about it as if that's the ultimate reality of what's happening. And I always laugh because I'm like, man, some people they're just so ingrained in this program that it's like the blinders are on, and that's all they think. The surface level of everything happening is all that's happening. And then there's a whole nother, because like at least some people like that have a spiritual, some kind of religious or spiritual perspective, but there's people that don't even have that, and they just think, and it's like, man, I feel bad for people, like, because it's like, how much fear do you got to live in to think like this is all not just the five sense reality, that's all there is, but like I'm at the whims of like the government and everything on this level outside of me. Anyways, that's a little tangent,
Yeah.
but we always come at it from a greater perspective where we know even the things that are the surface, more superficial level like that, they're still connected in some way to the greater stuff. And there's a
Sure.
reason things are playing out the way they are. And we try to look at it from that perspective.
Yeah. Well, there's a vastly different reporting style. You know, I've seen some of your shows, and there's a vastly different reporting style than the mainstream media has for something. How, you know, Trump tripped down the stairs when he was coming off of Air Force One, or Trump got a new plane, or whatever, you know, whatever it is. But
Mhm.
you know, there is value in it, and I bring up Trump a lot because I think it's all part of it. Like if we're looking at everything that's happening, we have to look at everything that's happening, you know, and like I said, if you're looking at the Earth from that outside perspective, from the edge of space perspective, it's all connected.
Right.
You know, a lot of the, you know, most of the shows that you go on, no religion, no, you know, and if it's live on, you know, radio or something, no cursing. You know, there's
Right.
the stipulations they put on
You got to
anything.
stay in their box.
Yeah.
You got to stay
Yeah,
in their
and
box. Yeah.
even if you're not talking political, because I wouldn't consider myself political, and definitely not for either side, but
Mhm.
even if you bring up the word Trump or anything like that, it triggers people. I get that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know,
yeah.
I totally
Right.
get that. We had I co-host on Spaced Out Radio every Saturday and Sunday, and we had Kevin Day on the other day, and you know, he's very vocal about his disdain for Trump and everything, and
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
it triggered everybody in the comment section and everything. It's only boosting the algorithm for the interview.
Right.
But
Right.
so keep commenting on it and stuff like that. But I get it, you know, it's triggering for people because it's important. There's a lot happening. You know, there's no matter what side of the aisle you're on, even if you're not on the side of the aisle, like there's a lot of things bringing up feelings for people. Even myself have, you know, the stuff going on in LA right now, whether it be you know, manufactured or not, it's still bringing up a lot of emotion in me. You know, I don't want to see the unrest. I'm ready for this age of peace. I'm ready for the
Right.
convergence of the masculine and feminine for the next you know, 1,000 to 2,000
Right.
years. And that's what I'm ready for.
Eh,
Right. But it's all catalyst at the end of the day.
right.
If we need the catalyst,
It's
you
pushing it
know,
to us because but
things are happening
uh,
because they need to be happening. Otherwise, they wouldn't be happening. That's the
for
greater
sure.
perspective, the divine orchestration. Things are happening in a certain way because otherwise they wouldn't be happening. There must be some catalyst needed from that.
For sure. You know, my traumas that led me to ayahuasca are blessings to me now. You know, at one time they were nightmares and the darkest things in my life. But after I realized they pushed me to ayahuasca, they were my biggest blessings. You know,
Yep.
being adopted at 5 days old, Didn't find out till I was 18, going to Iraq, divorced when I was in Iraq, things like all these traumas that really hurt me, and pushed me to ayahuasca, pushed me to my spiritual awakening. They become the biggest blessings in that, in
Yeah.
the in the
100%.
in the blink of an eye, they changed.
100%.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like all this stuff that like can seem like a distraction. Like you said, you look at the LA protests and those riots and stuff, and yeah, like I feel for those people. What I actually, it's really interesting this time around because you see the footage, you can't help it. You're scrolling, you see the footage. Um, this time around, like we always would see the riots and then no law enforcement doing anything about it. This time, like the people aren't getting away with it. They're being like the military and the police force are actually doing something and stopping it. And it's like this, it's weird emotionally to watch that because in a way, like I hate to say this, but it was satisfying to see like, okay, like these people aren't just freely getting away with it. Like this is a byproduct of the change. Like
Yeah.
we are literally seeing something different this time. We're getting the same riot, the same planned protest, but this time the result is different and it's the action is being taken and it gives you this different feeling. I'm like, okay, like this to me is evidence that something is changing now. Had it looked the same as it had the last couple times, then it might have been a little disheartening. Like, damn, like when's this going to change? But
Right.
I'm watching it.
We're just
I'm watching it
not
play
learning
out.
those lessons at all.
Right, I'm
Right.
watching it
It's
play
like,
out differently this time, and I feel bad for all the people involved, the people that are mind controlled in there that are doing the looting, right? And the protesting, and the ones that were manipulated into participating. And then I feel for the military and the law enforcement that has to go in, that has families to go back home to, that literally have to put themselves in a literal war scenario. This isn't a peaceful protest. It looks like a civil war in the streets.
burning down
Sure.
Yeah.
cities and destroying businesses.
So you like my heart goes out to them and like I just like
Injuring
I
people.
send them like prayers and love, but I understand also like this is how it plays out. This is how it happens. And like and it's been known. Like there's people you go back all of a sudden, people already like they know all the cities where it's gonna occur, and sure enough, that's looks like what's playing out. And it's all been known, it's already done in some capacity, like it's all happening simultaneously. It's already done. So we just have to understand, like, yeah, we feel for these people, but I think everyone signed up for this, and this is how it plays out. Inevitably, there's going to be casualties in a moment of change like this, and it's the catalyst that's needed, I think.
Sure. It was brought up the other day. I was interview and it was talking about, one of the things that they brought up of my understanding of how things work. Like what about the 450,000 children that go missing every year in the United States?
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I know that other people have said it, but I totally believe it. The QHHT type of thing. This the soul contract. They were brought here for a reason. And wh how many spiritual awakenings is that triggering within each one of those families, Is
Right.
it 450,000? Is it 900,000? Is
Right.
it awakening 2 people in each one of those families affected? You know, this is this is how I see things, even death, because once you have a near death, like, death doesn't mean the same thing to you. It's still hurtful, and it's still deep, and it still pulls at your heartstrings, but it doesn't mean the same thing to you. You know
You
what I'm
have a
saying?
whole different perspective
Right.
Yeah,
on it.
because you know that soul space is not one of the craziest things for me when I have my near death. I did not know I was dead for the first 30 seconds. Like until I heard someone say he's not breathing, someone called 911. That's when I was like, "Oh shit." Like I need to set up. And that's when I sat out of my body. And that's when all clarity came. But those first 30 seconds was very confusing to me because I was like, if I were to cover up the camera right there and I would continue speaking, like this consciousness was still there at the same operating level that it is right now, just
Right.
without a body.
Right.
And when I come back, I was like, I was given a choice. A lot of people talk about given a choice in near death. I was given a choice, continue with my death or go back to my body. And I said, if I go back to my body, I want to remember every bit of this, just like if was I just walked out of the other room. And
Right.
I always want to remember it like that so I can articulate it people and help people really understand what's really the fuck's going on. Like, we don't
Right.
die. Like, we
Yeah.
don't die at
Right.
all.
There's nothing to fear. Like,
It's
this
not
fear of
even
death, right?
it's not even a split second of darkness.
Right.
It's not even a disc. It's not even there's not even a reload circle that is going.
Right.
It's
It's the
never it's
transition
never
of experience.
it's never disconnect.
That's it.
Well, and you know what's interesting? I had technically a near death experience last year now, yeah.
Yeah.
And my throat, I ate something and had a reaction, and my throat closed up, and
Very traumatic near-death
very
experience.
traumatic,
Yeah.
yeah. And I stopped breathing, my throat was closing up, and I actually started going in an anaphylactic shock. My dad had to use an EpiPen on me, and like it saved my life, and there's a whole like story with it. But um, I always thought leading up to that, I'm not scared to die. I'm not scared to die. But what I didn't think about, like when you can't breathe and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, like you only know survival in that moment. Like to shift consciousness and not be scared in that moment, like it's a completely different reality. Like I'm like, oh wait, like I'm not scared of dying, but like not like this. Like
Yeah,
like you're fighting for your life all of a sudden, and now you don't want to die because like it's painful. Like you don't realize like the that that pain, that process of maybe yeah, I'd be fine if I transitioned, but it was all I knew was survival in that moment, and I was
yeah,
scared to die because it was happening to me.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's easy to say or not until you're in the situation
Well,
where it's
that
happening. Yeah.
way is also very scary.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, in that way,
Right.
suffocating to death,
Yeah.
that's scary.
So
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Burned
So
alive is about the worse than that, but
Yeah, or that.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just crazy
Too.
thing.
Right.
But did you? I got just one question. I don't mean to interrupt you, but did you get? Was there a point when it just like it all shut off and you just like calm?
Yeah, well, no, so it was yeah, eventually, but it was whenever like I had gone into shock and I kind of lost control of my body, and it's a whole long story, but my dad when he jabbed the EpiPen into my leg, it constricts all the muscles, right? And I was able to open that passageway. And I was able to catch a breath, and I knew that I was going to live at that moment. Um, I just broke down in uncontrollable tears, and it was this feeling of calmness, but I was also like, it was calmness, but it was more of a relief. Like I could breathe, and I knew I was going to be okay. Um, it wasn't until like after the fact, I guess, that I was calm about it. But I don't know if that answers
Yeah.
your question.
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, there's this a point like in the death process, like when your heart stops, like there's leading up to those last couple breaths, the last couple pumps of your heart, like you're going through all that, you're freaking out.
Right,
And when it actually does stop, there's a calmness, like it goes from complete chaos to complete calmness because you just realize like, okay, you're just part of
right.
this is part of the process, and like,
Yeah, I don't know if
Right.
I got that that far with it. You know what I mean? Like it was so much happening. It was so much happening, like, right as it started happening, my dad was there, and I didn't actually get to the point where I was, like, dead, you know? It was just close. And, I thought I remember looking in the mirror thinking, "This is the last time I'm ever gonna look at myself." And that was a surreal moment.
yeah. And there's a lot of reflection and all that stuff, man. But I do want to say reflection, like I've been waiting on this conversation with you guys for a couple of years now, and
Oh, yeah.
it's not disappointing, and yeah, it's great sitting down with you guys for sure. I knew this was going to be a great conversation when we had it, so yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for having me on.
Of course,
Yeah,
man.
of
Yeah,
course.
thank you so much.
Thank I didn't know you were waiting a couple years. I've
Right.
been wanting to get you on for a couple of years now, so
Yeah.
the feeling is mutual.
Yeah, he's been in my ear. He's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, we should get
Like,
Drew
"We gotta
on."
get Drew Bankey."
Yeah, and,
and
yeah,
it
so
sounds
yeah, thank you for making that happen because this was,
It happens at the right time. It
yeah.
all just happens at the
Yeah,
right time.
this was great, and, so I
Yeah.
guess we'll go ahead and start wrapping it up then. Let the audience know where they can find you, what you got going on, and all that stuff.
So Sacred Journeys Within is the easiest. Drew Bankey on any social. I'm on all of them. X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. sacredjournieswithin.com is the email. You can find out information about ceremonies we're having, or book a private ceremony, or we put up links of interviews we had on there, or where I'm going to be. Conferences coming up. I got a conference coming up here at the Sand Dunes with Laura Eisenhower. I know she's friends of your guys' show.
Good friends with Laura.
Good
yeah.
friends of mine
Yeah.
as well. And yeah, we're going to be at the Sand Dunes. I think it's the end of July.
Oh, is
It's
that the one
the
with Melanie, the quantum healer
yeah,
or whatever?
speaking to the ant people, which is a theory of how the Great Sand Dunes was, or some belief, or some people believe how the Great Sand Dunes was made. What all the sand come from? It's from underground caverns. There's ant people in there. They're bringing out the sand. That's where the sand. That's all the sand dunes. The sand dunes is like at the tallest point is like 55 stories tall of sand. Like,
Wow.
and it's 55. It's 55 acres or square miles or something like that. Anyways, it's a huge sand dune. That's where we spend a lot of our time, at the Great Sand Dunes National Park. But I'm gonna be speaking and sharing some of my experiences around Mount Blanca and the sand dunes and Zapata Falls and things like that. So
Right.
that's my next conference that I got scheduled. And yeah, in the middle of selling my house and buying a house.
Hey,
So we have
Me too.
Same.
Yeah.
so yeah, I seen a post, you're talking to a realtor, or some talking to your realtor about something. So I was like, I was wondering if he's selling a house or if he's flipping houses or whatever. But
Right.
weird synchronicity. But yeah, I'm closing on the first on both houses. So it's crazy. I'm closing on
I'll-
buying the house and selling the house on July 1st.
I'm closing on the first too. Yeah.
Synchronicity.
Yeah, it's funny.
Hey.
That's the time. Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And
Seriously.
I know people will enjoy this conversation. And anybody who's interested, where can they buy tickets for that conference? Do you know the website?
I'm not sure. There's links on my social. I'm not sure where they're at.
I know what it is really quick. Let me find it. Just give me 2 seconds here. It is
Yeah, I've known Laura for a while. Like me and her even sat in Chief Golden Light Eagle's sweat lodge, his Sundance sweat lodge, a few
Oh,
years
nice.
ago.
Nice.
I went out there to speak. We were both speaking at the conference, and all the speakers got together, and his daughter Nikki took us out there, and I can't remember who led it, but it was his lodge, his Sundance Sweat Lodge, from Chief Golden Light Eagle.
yeah.
That's amazing.
So
That's
yeah.
amazing. We had Chief Golden Night Eagle on the show
Yeah.
a few years back before he passed.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
You got
nice.
his bar. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I actually spoke at the Star Knowledge Conference last
He
year.
spoke at the Star Wars Conference last
Yeah.
year. Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. The Crows
That's
or the
awesome.
Eagles.
Yeah, Eagle. I think.
So
That's part of a story I really can't share publicly, but
so
Yeah.
the website is quantumdisclosureproject.com.
yeah, and she also, there's another uh coming up, I think, in this month.
Yeah, Chaco Canyon.
In
I'll actually be there. I'll
He's
be
gonna
there.
be
Chaco Canyon. Yeah.
Yeah.
She wanted me to come to that, but I can't make it with moving and everything.
Right. Yeah, it's tough for me, like, because of my closing. I'm gonna have to do a virtual closing, but I'm still gonna be there.
Yeah.
So yeah, but quantumdisclosureproject.com, anyone who's interested, you can get a ticket for the Chaco Canyon one at the end of the month, or the one in Colorado, where you're gonna be speaking. And what are the dates for the Colorado one?
I think it's end of July. I don't remember the dates. I'm unprepared, like
Okay.
always.
That's
But
all right. We'll put the
yeah,
link in the description, and
no,
we'll
Yeah.
the Chaco Canyon one, I'll share the story real quick for the people, because I'm not going to make it to that one. But the story I was going to share, and I've shared it before, years ago, I think it was 2018, me and my wife went hiking in Chaco Canyon, celebrating our anniversary. We went back. I pulled out my drum at the end of it, sung a prayer song to the canyon, just thanking, everything I was downloaded from looking at the petroglyphs, seeing like the Fibonacci sequence a lot. That's
Right.
in like every petroglyph site I've ever been to. I've been to 5 different petroglyph sites. Every one of them has the Fibonacci sequence. That's our energy,
Right.
that's coming off our meridian points. Anyways, went back to Cortez, Colorado that night, and that's when I had my face-to-face encounter with the shadow being. And later on, after that, about a week or two later after that incident, had a dream where I was on another planet, blinked my eyes, and end up going through the same experience, but from the other perspective. That's when I really understood bilocation, how we were bilocated beings, like our soul space is bilocated. So that shadow being was another particle myself. But that was the reason why I was really wanting to go to Chaco Canyon, but it
Yeah.
just didn't work out with timing and everything.
Yeah, it's a cool place. I camped there last year with my dad. I think it was last year. Time escapes me now, but really one takeaway from that was we were camping at the campground, right? And he went to use the restroom, and I was just sitting there. The stars were just coming out, and I see sometimes like the satellites and stuff moving across. Sometimes I think they are ships, but one was moving across the sky. I'm just watching it, and there was like no really stars out yet, And I'm watching it, and on my mother, like it literally stopped over my head. It just virtually came to a stop, and my dad comes out of the bathroom. I'm like, look, look, look. And this time other stars are popping up. And it's so bright. It was the brightest one directly above it. And I'm like, that's not a star. I'm like, I literally just watched it park there. And he's like, I believe you. Why wouldn't he?
Right.
I was like, no, you don't understand. Like it literally just like was moving and I watched it stop. It's not, but it looked like a star. If you didn't know any better, if you just looked up, you'd think it was a star.
A lot of they usually
Yeah.
look like a star moving.
So it was just sitting there and all night it was there, and it never moved for the rest of the night.
Really?
The next night, it was the first light in the sky before all the stars. It was the first thing you could see, and it was still there. And I'm like, "Look, that wasn't there last night when the sun started setting. It's still there." And it stayed there, and I don't know, like, I don't have any, like, dreams or experiences or anything, like, that I remember, but I just wonder maybe it was me, like you said, like an expression of me.
I really, and that's the most logical explanation to me, and this is what I've been told directly. Another thing real quick, I let out two different, the thing here by the sand dunes, I will be leading the C5 that night. So I will be the one leading the C5. This is kind of my mountain right now, but and I have a lot of activity. I have no doubt that we'll see something cool. But one time in ayahuasca, I'll leave everybody with this. I At the end of the ayahuasca ceremony, after my vision and work I had to do and everything, I always got like one question. I get like one question, doesn't matter what it is. She would answer it, truthfully. I said, when is disclosure going to happen? Like everybody trying to figure out, like, when is disclosure going to happen? When are we going to find out about UFOs and things like that? And the response was through a vision and verbally. She showed me a vision of a mirror, and I saw my reflection in the mirror. Then I saw my face morph into different species of aliens, different species of people, and everything. It said disclosure will happen when everybody decides to look in the mirror truthfully.
Wow.
So we all,
Big.
that's the truth for all of us. Because I asked, I was like, is this the truth for me? Is like, am I an alien? She said, no, all are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. That's a beautiful note to end on. Thank you for that.
is-
Yeah. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you for joining us. This has been fabulous. And, we'll have to do this again. And
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Great.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Love what you're doing.
Yep.
I see you and I appreciate you. And I can't wait to be back.
And we'll have
Wait to have you back.
everyone just send Aaron some love and prayers for his mom and dad. And,
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll just keep him in our thoughts, and we love you. And
Thank you.
Yeah.
I
So
love all of you.
Yep. All right, guys. Good night. Have a great evening. We love you. And then until next time.
And it's just literally the way of the heart, and that's the way of the future. So
they are the ones that guard this planet. They open portals, they close portals, and they kind of protect us as a whole.
We wake up and we're like, holy shit. I've been lied to.
And I'm going to explain how this works and why they want our souls so badly.
When I'm talking about what is possible, I mean as far as the secret space program.
It's like this is the future, and it is a part of this golden age we're moving into. There's no hiding. You can't hide this, you know. So
your quantum body, bringing more back online, like as in reloading past lives, soul fragments coming back, dismantling implants.
It might be different star languages that might come through. And we're talking a lot about dimensional beings, and they're very highly telepathic. It's like looking around. It doesn't see us. It can't see us. I can see it, but it can't see us. It can hear us, and it knows something's going around.
But humanity does have a bright future, and I'm going to prove it to you beyond a shadow of a doubt.
The minute I came into their energy, I was like, this isn't a real human. Their eyes were different color. And so I do believe it was a clone.
This thing is going for sometimes years at a time on these missions. Is this thing going to other planets? And I knew that they wouldn't be able to respond, but I wanted to see their reaction because that was going to tell me. And it was good because she froze up and she looked at the back of the room to her superior military guy. And then she looked back at me and she's like, we can't talk about that.
And I can hear my higher self come in, and it's definitely my higher self, go, don't say a word, do not let them know who you are. And I began to leave my body at that point.
And it is biblical. I'm not a biblical person. I've never read the Bible. My family wasn't really religious, so it's just really interesting as I've been starting to get these updates, even through the Alliance, I'm discovering it is very much biblical.
When I got over there, a blue light come down right over me, and boom, I was on a ship. And I was looking at 6 people, 3 men, 3 women, and every one of them I looked at didn't seem very interested at all that I was there.